Well, hello and welcome to our webinar. Today, we're going to talk about international marketing and how the Colorado Department of Agriculture can support your growth outside of Colorado and even outside of the United States. We are lucky enough to have John Addison and Ashley Warsh on, and I'm Barb Howe. I'm in business development here at the Colorado Department of Agriculture. We have our emails up, so if you have any questions, you can reach us later. We're always happy to answer questions and connect you with people. Well, let's get started. I'd like to introduce John Addison, and he is in our international markets and business development. He is a market specialist here at Colorado Department of Agriculture, and he leads the international marketing section for the Colorado Department of Ag. John joined our department in 2012. And the objective of the international markets is to help facilitate exports, opportunities, and market access for Colorado farmers, ranchers, and producers, both nationally and internationally. Colorado exports around $2 billion each year to around 115 countries around the world. Prior to joining the Department of Agriculture, John operated his own business in multiple countries and served in the armed forces of both the UK and the US. Well, thank you for that. John, I turn it over to you, and I will pull up your presentation.
Hey, good morning, and thanks for having us on here. We're just happy to help. Just to put any of the listeners into perspective, so we have our markets division within the CDA, and within our markets division, we do have a small section, Colorado Proud, and ourselves, and our job is to help our companies get business, just develop their business. And it really is everything from kitchen sink to first sales at a farmer's market, or farmer's market then going into your first retailers, and then going into your retailers at a state level or even a regional level. And once businesses are at that level where they're selling into regional stores, then we kind of take over a little bit and we'll concentrate on the national and international. So both Colorado Proud and our small section, that is what we do. We help our farmers, our ranchers, our producers. We introduce them to foreign buyers and national buyers. And we also try to, at the grassroots level, grow new products for our markets, basically. So I'm very happy to be here, and I'm going to introduce Ashley Warsh, who works with me at the Department of Ag. And Ashley, if you want to say hello, that'd be great.
Yes, thank you for having us, Barb, and it's great to connect with companies. So as John mentioned, our main goal really is to help Colorado food and ag companies find new markets, mostly national and international. And we do that in a variety of ways, but we're excited to kind of walk you through what we have going on in Colorado and what we do. So Barb, if you can move to the next slide. So a little bit more, as John mentioned, our goal really is to help expand business. So if that means linking you with other potential people in Colorado to source locally, but then also just be more efficient, more effective, and to grow at a pace where you guys can handle your business and then move nationally and internationally. So if we can support you here, that's kind of our main goal, is to help Colorado companies expand their growth. Go ahead. And we do this in a variety of ways. So we like to say in Colorado that we're really lucky to have multiple industries and multiple commodities that we get to work with. Every day is a little bit different for us. So we get to work with meat, live cattle, dairy, grains, pulses. We like to say we have 8 different industries, but anything that encompasses food, ag, beverage, we like to help with our programs. We do that in a variety of ways. We do trade shows where we go take companies to big food shows and introduce them to customers and buyers and get them in front of potential opportunities. We do trade missions where there's no trade show attached, but we'll take companies to an event and arrange meetings and give them a full scope of how the market and how their product can look in that market. And then we also do inbound missions where we bring buyers to Colorado to introduce companies to potential prospective buyers. We also like to help companies network, as I kind of mentioned briefly, source ingredients, become more efficient and effective. However, we can work together in Colorado to help each other grow at a sustainable rate. And then a few other things, we like to help with logistics if that's of interest, export education, market research. We can pull information for companies and really kind of help you figure out what the next step for your business is. And then finally, we do trade leads where we get some requests from potential customers that we work with, buyers. We've spent a lot of time building up our network, and sometimes they'll come to us asking for something specific. And then once we figure out what companies do, we can link them with these trade leads and help drive some business that way. So next, I'll let John drive into this.
Our exports last year, just typically in a given year, they're around about $2 billion. Our total ag for the state of Colorado is 40 billion. So 2 billion just going to exports. That's a sizable chunk. We export to around 115 countries. Right now in 2022 is actually 123. Our biggest exports, of course, is beef. We're a big beef producer in the United States, but we also export grains like millet, where we're #1 in the world, in the US, millet. Wheat, we export about 75% of all our wheat. We export grains, we export corn, for example, for cattle feed, etc. So there's a lot of things that we export, everything from wine, beer, spirits, to soft beverages, to produce, to grains, to meats, etc. Our top 5 export markets are South Korea, Canada, China, and Japan. And why in Asia? Because that is where a lot of our meat goes. But when we are helping our companies exporting, we're doing all the commodities. So then that demographic changes more to Canada and Mexico being our biggest markets, for example, for produce, or for beer and spirits. Right now, we're concentrating on the European market. So take the top 5 export markets with a grain of salt, because that's really saying that's where our beef is going. Next slide, Ash. And that just shows you just roughly, if you can see this, it just shows you roughly the numbers of where we're exporting to in dollars. So you can see we really are around the world, which makes our job very exciting. Each country is very different. If you are looking to export, there's a huge difference from what you've done in the past to what you are now about to do. In the past, you've not really had much help as you establish your business in Colorado and you're trying to figure out all the regulatory hurdles, etc. There's not been a great help from the US side. But when it comes to exporting, Uncle Sam is definitely going to put his foot in the door and is going to help you. And the reason being, we live in a global economy, we live in a cutthroat economy, and we live in a business economy. And other countries help their companies export is exactly the same with the US. So you have a very valued partner when it comes to the United States, and when it comes to your state, and when it comes to the Colorado Department of Agriculture. We are going to help you grow, and we're going to help you export. And we've got some money to help do this, whether it's federal money or it's our own state money. So this is a journey you are not alone in. We're going to help you on the ground through our Foreign Ag Service, who have, just like our Commerce Department in embassies around the world, we also have our Foreign Ag Service. And these are highly dedicated and motivated people who are on the ground in these countries, who are just there to help you answer any questions. Of course, in every single country is a little different tweak to it. They may have different regulations, different import criteria. Again, we're going to help you navigate those. And we also put on trade missions, as Ashley was saying, and that is to help our companies meet foreign buyers, foreign distributors. But that, I think, is the most important message we can give you today. If when you're looking at exports, and we really do believe that every company should have that in the back pocket. If it's not now, it should be in the future, because that is how you're going to grow. Over 90% of your customers lie outside the country, potentially. Next slide, Ashley. And these are just some activities we're doing in 2023. This will just give you a very snapshot at what we do. I think last year or this year, we've done 18 different trade missions, whether they're inbound missions, as Ashley was saying, they're outbound missions to specific countries, or they're trade shows. And you can just see by this the variety that we're doing. We're helping everything from livestock to beverages to produce to value-added foods. When we do these activities, just to let you know, we do try to get as much funding for these as we can on our side. We totally understand that you are a small company with limited time, limited capital, and we're going to try to help you as much as we can. So we will actually pay for the trade shows. We will pay for the booth space, the build out, and when we can, we'll try to give companies a stipend towards their travel costs, etc. And we have those two pots of money to help, whether it's state or whether it's federal. But we do actually say, listen, contact us if you've got any questions. Between Colorado Proud and what we do, we can try to help you from whether it's your first sales at a farmer's market or whether you want to try and explore the international market. Ashley, next slide. Is that pretty much it? There we go. I'd love to hear any questions that you have or any thoughts that you have. So please chime on in.
Well, thank you for that. That's really amazing. I know I, for one, did not realize all of the activity that went on exporting goods from Colorado. So that's really interesting. I was wondering, how would a Colorado Proud member participate in one of these trade missions if they wanted to?
I think the first step for us is to reach out to us, basically. There's no real application process. John and I like to make sure that we've chatted with the company, understand where they're at, what they're looking to do, and also make sure they're kind of a right fit for the market. So one of the reasons why we're so successful in these activities is we set up meetings for them in country and nationally. And so we want to make sure it's a good fit, make sure the market makes sense, make sure there's no trade barriers or hurdles or things like that that make it challenging. So we try our best. We don't always get it right, but we do try our best to put them in the market, find a good market for a company to start out in, and then support them along the way. So I would say the first step really is just to reach out to us.
And that's Excellent. It. You really have to reach out to us. We know a lot of our companies in Colorado, but we don't know them all. And, you know, that's a challenge. There are so many other companies out there in Colorado we haven't met yet. So we need to hear from you. And we understand totally that you may not know where you want to export to, or whether it's national, what supermarket chain should you be concentrating on. But that initial conversation with us will help us. We'll see where you're at on the growth curve. We can make some suggestions. If you haven't tried the exports before, we might say, listen, you know, try Canada. It's the closest market. It's a market most like the United States. Or we may say, you know what, looking at your product, I think this would be really good for Mexico. So we can explore together. But the very first thing you need to do is please do contact us and chat with us.
Excellent. Now, I'm sure there's a lot of regulations to exporting. Where can a Colorado Proud member go to at least start looking at some of those regulations? Can they visit our website?
Good question. We simply can't put all the regulations for each country on the website. I mean, we would blow our OIT up, our Office of Information Technology. They'd have a hissy fit. But each country has got quite a list. I would say the best way to just look at this is We have our, if you're beginning, if you're looking at exporting or haven't exported yet, look at the countries where it's easiest to export. So you've got to look at your product and say, which market is right for me? Now, if it's somewhere like Canada or Mexico, we already have a free trade agreement. It used to be called NAFTA. It's now called USMCA. And in Central America, we also have CAFTA, which is Central American Free Trade Agreements. These countries with free trade agreements are like the low-hanging fruit to me. They're the easiest to export. When it comes to Saudi Arabia or Japan, it gets a little bit more complex. And in those cases, we can talk that through with you. And we also, as I said, we have our agricultural trade offices in those countries. But I think overall, I would say is this: every country has its own criteria. Yes, you as a company are going to have to work your way through it, but you've got a partner in doing it, and that's us. When you started in the United States, there was really no one to help you sift through the regulations per se. Yes, you've always got great marketing help with Colorado Proud at the local level, but when it comes to national, etc., you had to figure out all the regulatory steps, whether it was USDA inspections, etc. When it comes to international, you are not alone. You've got a partner. So use the resources that you have from the state and the federal to help you decipher. You may end up realizing that, you know what, you can't export to Saudi Arabia right now. You don't have the export criteria, what they're looking for. And that's okay. You cannot export to every country around the world all at once. You just take one country at a time, pick the lowest hanging fruit and the one most suited to your product. But we're here to help you do that.
That's really good advice, because you're right. You can't put all the information on. So they need to reach out and talk to you and see where would their product fit best, and maybe start, like you said, a little more locally in the sense of Canada. Could be a little bit easier to get their product in there.
Yeah, we typically find. Go ahead, Ashley.
Yeah, one thing to consider too for some value-added products is that it also comes down to the ingredients, even in Canada. So really it is us reaching out to the foreign ag office, as John mentioned, and getting a full picture of kind of what it takes for your product.
There is one thing we can help with as well, is especially for new to export companies. Now, we understand that when we're doing trade shows overseas, etc., these can be pretty expensive affairs. Now, we will come in and we will backfill as much of the cost of those as we can for our companies. And we'll fund them as best we can. But if you are a company new to exports, we bring in buyers to Colorado using federal funds. And this is a very cost-effective way to put your toe in the water, just to find out.
Excellent.
It only costs you half a day to do this, for example. We'll bring in 5 buyers, and for half a day, you'll sit down one-to-one with these buyers. And just out of interest, we have one coming up in October, which Barb, your host here, is going to be doing. And it is five to seven Canadian buyers coming down. So we're going to pay these buyers their airfares, their hotels, etc. They're going to come down for 2 days into Denver, or actually to Broomfield. And basically, they're going to sit down with Colorado companies, and they're going to spend half an hour with each Colorado companies and just see about, okay, here's a Canadian market, here are the opportunities. The buyers and distributors will look at your product, they'll give you some advice on it. And you never know, they may want to buy it. They may want to say, this is the right product for me, or they may say, not quite my thing right now, but maybe I can give you some suggestions. But if you're a Colorado company and you just want to find out about exporting and you want to put your toe in the water, these inbounds are just a brilliant way to go. It just only costs you half a day of time. That's it.
How would our Colorado Proud members find out more about this Canadian inbound mission?
Ashley, is it just the web, or is it just call Barb, you or I, basically?
Either way, it is on our website as well. And the program is actually a federal program. It's called WUSADA, which is another one of our funding sources that can help companies with their exports. And once they become members of WUSADA, they'll actually get these events that are put on, and they'll get notifications if it fits their commodity. So if they sign up for WUSADA, they become members, then let's say they're a cracker company. If it's an event that caters to crackers, they'll get a notification that there's an event happening in the future. So it kind of will automate that response to them going forward. But initially, yeah, it is on our website, and we do our best, as John said, to get it out to our network and everyone. But really is our Achilles heel to know all of the companies in Colorado. So
just if you're interested, just send Ashley, or Barb, just send us an email. Just say, hey, listen, I might be interested in meeting these buyers, just sitting down and chatting to them. How do I do this? And we'll get you through those steps. As far as WUSADA, it is one arrow in our quiver. It is federal or federally aligned, as Ashley says. There's no cost to join it. Basically, it's a funding stream. That's it. But it's made up of the 13 Western departments of agriculture, and that's where we share the federal funding in this regards. So that does require a quick sign up, but there's no money involved or anything, and it's open to all companies, small to medium size.
Are those buyers, out of curiosity, are they looking for any specific type of a product or any type of a food manufacturer in our Colorado Proud program? Would they be willing to go, or with the possibility to go?
Ashley, I think this one is specifically aimed, isn't it? Perhaps you can describe that.
No, it's not specifically aimed. It's really for Colorado food products looking to enter into retail. So it could be anything from, crackers, cheese, salsas, anything you would find on the grocery shelf. So these are importers, distributors, and small retailers up in Canada. And so it's a similar system to the US, where you'll work with a partner, importer, broker, distributor, to get the product around to the retailers. So if nothing else, it's a great opportunity to come and chat with them and learn a little bit about how the market works.
Yeah, for sure. That's a great opportunity. And what are those dates? October
18th and 19th, I believe.
18th and 19th. Fantastic. Now, out of curiosity, I'm sorry.
It's right here in Broomfield, as John mentioned. So hopefully local to most people.
Yeah, no, it's a fantastic event that you're doing. Now, out of curiosity, is Colorado made called out on any packaging when it goes into any of these over 100 different countries, or does it simply say a product of the United States? And would there be an opportunity to really call out Colorado made, Colorado proud, but made here in Colorado?
Yeah, when it comes to international markets, oftentimes product of the USA has a little bit more stamina than maybe made in Colorado. Oftentimes, some of the buyers may not be super familiar with where Colorado is. Mm-hmm. When we do an event, we like to have a map just to point out and show people, and then they know and they understand, but it may not resonate the same way as it does here in the US. So product of the USA, but it doesn't hurt either. Having it on your packaging is just fine and can be a great tool as well. But product of the USA seems to be a little bit more powerful in that regard, but nothing against Colorado made.
Gotcha. Wonderful. Now, would you recommend that a Colorado Proud member contact any of the support staff in these other countries, or to come to you first so you can help them navigate who to talk to, or if they need to talk to somebody, maybe you can do the legwork there?
Yeah, it seems that we get a little bit more of a better response from the foreign offices if we're included. So we would like to make that introduction. That is also available information on the website. The Foreign Ag Service has all of their contact information listed. So it's definitely an opportunity, an option for the companies to reach out directly. But as I mentioned, it's just a little bit more response rate, and we know most of them and a lot of them, so we can make personal connections and let them know the situation. So again, I would just recommend to reach out to us first.
That makes sense. That way they've got a face right here in Colorado and a name that can help them be a little bit, it's a more personalized in terms of helping them
Yeah,
navigate into another country where they won't maybe know anybody.
definitely.
John, what other advice would you give our Colorado Proud members that maybe are considering that next step? They've been selling here in Colorado and maybe even local states around us, but really want to look into this. What advice would you have for them to start preparing for them to contact you and get involved in international trade?
My advice would be if you are a company, a producer in Colorado, and you've started to make some sales, like on a regional level, or you're pretty well, set up in Colorado, and you're starting to look, okay, I need to grow my business. Then the next steps you're going to have to take is, okay, do I grow it nationally? Do I look international? Sometimes it might be both at the same time. Other times it might be a choice. Your product might be better for the international market versus national. One thing to consider is, what are you producing? So like if you're producing a barbecue sauce or a salsa, for example, and you're trying to go national, here's the catch here. When you're going national, it may be a little bit easier for you, yes, but your competition is going to be very, very stiff. You're going to have about 1,000 other companies doing barbecue sauces, hot sauces, salsas, etc. Now, if you go to, for example, to Panama or Costa Rica or something like that, you may be one of 50 companies trying to get shelf space. So the odds narrow in your favor much, much more. But you're going to rob Peter to pay Paul, because you're going to have to do a little bit more work to get into those countries. But that's why we're here. I thoroughly recommend that if you are a company that is looking to export or looking to grow nationally, it's never too soon to contact Ashley, I, or Barb and start discussing this. You want to start the discussion now, so we have your name, we've got you in the pipeline, and we can get you recommendations, especially if we're getting buyers, national or international, saying, hey, Barb, John, Ash, I'm looking for salsa. Or Pueblo chilies, or I'm looking for a craft beer. We've got you in the system. We can start reaching out to you, and we can start helping you on that journey.
That's excellent advice. And two, I think for our Colorado Proud members, this should be part of your business plan. If this is something you are really considering, as we're looking at, here we are in September, maybe you want to revamp your business plan for 2024. This is a good thing to start thinking about, and reach out to John, Ashley, or myself. And what can we do to help you if you're considering the next step internationally? Ashley, how about you? What advice would you give our Colorado Proud members as they consider taking the next step?
Yeah, I think you both really kind of hit it on the head. I think that keeping the option open, even if it's something you haven't considered in the past, don't rule it out, because you never know. You might be at a trade show or at a farmer's market, and an international customer comes around, and it actually ends up being a great opportunity. So I think just kind of keeping an open mind, even if it's not in your business plan for next year, just don't ever rule it out. There's a lot of support to help you. It's definitely not off the table for someone to come across your product, and it can be a great opportunity for growth. So I would tend to agree with both of you.
Well, excellent. Well, I know I sure learned a lot, and I appreciate you guys taking time out of your busy days. I know you've got a lot of things going on. We saw just a bit of your list of all the missions and activities that you're doing. Just a reminder, the Canadian inbound trade mission for food products, that retailers from Canada will be here in Broomfield, Colorado, October 18th and 19th. Contact us if you would like to be involved in that, or just even learn more about it, or go to our website, ag.colorado.gov, under the markets division, and you can learn more and let us know if we can answer any questions. And Tune into Cultivation Station, which is our Colorado Proud podcast. And we've talked with Mountain Roots Food Project this month. And later on this month, we're going to be talking to Spade and Spoon, which is a local first meal kit option. Another great opportunity for our Colorado Proud members to showcase their products and make sure they're getting into everybody's home here around Colorado. Thank you, John. Thank you, Ashley. Fantastic work as always. It's a pleasure to talk with you like this, and I hope everybody has a great day.
Thank you very much for having us on.